This presentation looks at my findings from investigating the greater sustainability implications of growing coastal populations on the viability of the Thinornis Rubricollis, the hooded plover. Population growth and a greater human footprint leads to greater threats to the survival of this species by intrusion to its delicate life cycle, through direct human disturbance and indirect habitat degradation. The conservation status of the hooded plover is listed as critically endangered through to vulnerable where this species is endemic. This presentation explores the domino effect that the demise of this bird has on the sustainability of coastal regions where it is found. Some of the key queries I had when I began this report were: can protective rather than destructive human interventions positively increase the success of this bird's annual breeding cycle? If the current reproductive success rate continues on the same trajectory as at present, what does this mean for the species? And can captivity for research and reproductive purposes positively impact the long-term survival of this species? And would success in captivity positively influence sustainability in its native environment? My inquiry was initiated by broad information gathering via online search engines such as Google, where I sought to gain a greater comprehension of wider issues facing this species, as well as a better familiarity with relevant terminology, colloquialisms, and prevalent data. I searched for specific detail of the negative impacts of human intervention on this species, as well as ecological sustainability considerations associated with the demise of a species within any ecosystem. I used a mind map to collate the relevant data and did further online research via detailed readings from Google Scholar and the Curtin Library. I then made further inquiries with relevant bodies such as BirdLife International and Barwon Coastal Committee. I found that there are currently numerous action plans that are effectively implemented at present. Significant ongoing research is being carried out into the management of this species. Effective beach sharing protocols have been developed, including awareness campaigns, nesting cages, mandatory on-lead zones for pets. However, further positive interference is required. Considerations which would be positively increase the success of the annual breeding cycle include managing and actively policing the use of key beaches for recreation purposes during the breeding season. The Thinornis Rubricollis ongoing population declines suggest an overall decline of 10% over the past decade for the whole species, and it was found that the hooded plovers were not long-lived enough to replace themselves at current rates. A conservative figure would predict a loss of 22% of the Victorian population in one generation length. It was found that, though possible, survival in captivity would not address the issue of sustainability as a whole, as interrelationships within a food web can be so intricate that a chain of disruptive events can occur when one ecosystem component changes. If one species in the food web ceases to exist or demises substantially, there will be implications on other species within its food chain. When a species' presence fluctuates substantially in a particular zone, pressure will increase on interdependent species. The delicate and intricate balance in any ecosystem can be disturbed by the disappearance of any organism through disruption to the food chain and habitat interference, affecting these coastal regions where the bird is native. Conservation efforts and observational inquiry can be placed within numerous years of the Australian education system. However, I applied this to Year 4, Biological Science. This relates to the correlation between the viability of the Thinornis Rubricollis and the overall sustainability of the ecosystem where it is found, as a fluctuation in the population of this bird will have further implications on the overall survival of this ecosystem.